Let's get on to Doncaster then, shall we? So this is the final classic. Go on then, we love a mad one.
He loves a mad one.
This is mad.
Did any of the mad ones work out last week or not?
This is a group one for the fillies and mares over a mile, so it brings together classic generation, the likes of the 1,000 Guineas winners, into the older mares group.
This is the Royal Bahrain Irish Champion Stakes, the group.
If it doesn't come up chop suey, then I don't see the horse doing particularly well, unfortunately. 33-1, it would be a shot for a place, if anything.
Position, and he powered the last race down, and he powered down, but in front of the last left, Melody Light.
The first time, they're running up towards the finish, and he's mistaken the winning post. He's mistaken the winning post completely, Roger Lockwood, and Hoyt for him.
From Archibald, Hardy used the defensive title, but Archibald is flattened out in second. Then in front, and Wright is beginning to power. He's drifting off the true line. He's flying, and this was going to win his fourth Betfair chase, and Cordo Star is still the king. Cordo Star wins.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tailed Off, episode number 28. As a reminder, this is a no holds barred podcast that dives headfirst into the wonderfully weird world of horse racing. Joined by our good mates, Duncan and Elle. How are we doing, boys?
Good day. All good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. Long day at work, but all good. You know,
Growing out the
this is
beard,
our
mate,
full-time
nicely.
job. So, yeah, the old beard. Till the missus is
Smooth
had enough,
operator,
and they
mate.
get chopped off.
I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Right, what have we got on the agenda today? So we have a little update from Callout, shall we, Elle? And then we get into news and a rec corner. Stewards inquiries, a couple of interesting stewards inquiries today. And then we've got the final classic of the season at Doncaster. So we'll cover the festival there. And then we get into Irish Champions weekend. Sound good?
Sounds
good.
magnificent.
Alrighty. Let's get into Callout then. Run coming up very
Indeed.
shortly.
Yeah, he was declared at 10 a.m. this morning for Lingfield
Lovely.
on Saturday, which is good news. And Duncan and I will be in attendance, cheering him on. And
Looking
he's
forward to
going
it.
to be running
Nice.
back in the green and red colours, which we like to see, the old Steph colours. And
Yeah.
given that he ran well and finished second last time out, only went up a pound in the handicap, we fairly hopefully could hit. There's 9 runners, so a nice each way field. Be
Sorry,
hopefully
mate, what
might be
time
up
is
to-
it?
I think it's 3:35 off the top of my head, something like that.
55.
3:55.
Yeah. 3:55. Ah, yeah. See it. Yep.
Will you be able to watch it, Matt?
I am at a wedding, so yes.
Middle of the ceremony, you pop it on.
Lovely. What do you think in terms of chances?
Yeah, I mean, he's drawn fairly wide. He's on the all-weather this time. When we were all at Lingfield, it was on the turf course, which is the straight, 7
Yep.
furlongs. He'll have to cope with the bend, which is quite infamous at Lingfield. It's very sharp, left-handed bend. And what seemed to improve him last time was going from the front, but that's probably a bit easier at a place like Chelmsford, which is a bit flatter and not such a tight bend. And there's something Duncan and I always talk about at Lingfield. It's the golden highway, because time after time, you would think, and you're a cyclist, Matt, you know, saving ground on the inside, hug the rail, efficiencies and all that
Yeah.
would make more sense. But every time horses go onto the very inside of the rail, it's like they hit treacle. And all the horses that seem to go too wide around the bend and lose ground, once they get into the last furlong, down the middle of the track on the outside, they just fly home. It's like they step onto those conveyor belts at the airport. They just fly past all the people walking on the inside. So
The Mario
Interesting.
Kart
I would
speed
hope
up.
that the jockey would have some sense and go for that.
So why do you think that? Why do you
It's honestly hard to say, because it's all weather, so it should be an even surface. But it might be that more of the ground gets churned up on the inside. But nobody else seems to talk about it. But honestly, I've watched enough races at bloody
It's definitely a
Lingfield to
thing.
know that it's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of
interesting.
tactics then, Al? Do you reckon, because it's obviously a wide draw, how far on the seven furlong track are you to the bend from out the gates?
It's pretty much
Would
2
he have a
in the
chance to get
straight.
over?
So yeah, there'll be chance. But
Yeah.
my problem
to
is
break
it's really hard because of this thing that we're talking about. It's really hard to make the run in at Lingfield, because any horses that ping off the bend, it's like they'll naturally go for the inside rail and then they hit the bad area of the track and then they just come flying past. You have to be a really good horse to make all at Lingfield. So even though that worked for last time, I'd be happier if he was sat right behind the leader and then pounced late. But I reckon Jack will just say do the exact same thing as last time and kick on, hope for the
Yeah,
best.
that's the thing, isn't it? It's like what tactics you go with, and the horse ran really well from the front last time. But then, like you say, if it doesn't handle the bend,
I just think we should
Like,
just do the exact same
uncomfortable.
thing, because the horse is too much of a bloody sulker to change.
That's the thing. You don't want to. Yeah, give him too much. He seems to do
Too
well
much
from the
of a
front.
sulk.
Let him
If it
run
was
from the
more-
front and hope for the best.
If it was a more normal horse and you could actually do different things with him, I'd say get some cover, don't be too far back, too wide on the bend, take it up inside the last 2 furlongs and kick them. That would
Okay.
be my
Not asking
instructions.
much, are you?
If
Take
I
out
was
two
the
furlongs
horse,
out.
I'd do
Take
that.
out 2
yeah.
furlongs out if he's not tailed off.
But yeah.
All right, good.
Anyway,
Well,
win,
let
lose
us
or
know how
draw,
it
we'll
goes
have,
then.
have a few beers on Saturday and cheer him home.
Yeah, gutted I can't be there. Sorry, boys, but
Well,
have
go
a
for-
few scoops on me. I'll have a few scoops.
He's
at the wedding.
paying. Listen to that. You've got this recorded, Matt. So, you just said have a few scoops on me. You've heard that as well, oh yeah?
Yep, confirmed.
All right.
The tailed off pod first.
But we said we'll hopefully
all
go
right.
to the card again, Al,
Yeah.
if we can.
Yeah. God, yeah, that was when you had
5 winners
how
on the trot.
many? 5 on the trot. It was insane.
So we'll
Yeah.
actually try and post them this time because last time we obviously went through the card there enough and didn't post any of them.
Yeah.
Bad times.
Bad times. Good. All right. Let's get on to the old news then, shall we? What's going on with the racing tax? It's bubbling back up again out.
Well, indeed, obviously spoke about a couple of weeks ago the big news that dropped that essentially they were cancelling racing yesterday, which is Wednesday, the 10th. And one of the main reasons they were doing that was to make a statement and, if you like, protest against the proposal. It's only a consultation at this stage that the government are going to harmonise the betting and gaming duty, which will in effect increase horse racing's tax from 15% up to 21%, but it could go further, which is a 40% tax rise in itself. And that would just mean it would just generate less funding for the sport, and the majority of the funding for the sport comes from the betting companies in form of the levy, as well as some media rights payments and stuff. And it was a little bit of a decoy because they haven't actually completely abolished the fixtures. They are being rearranged. But I think the more positive side of that coin is that it meant that because there was no racing going on yesterday, a whole host of leading industry figures from the regulators, leading trainers, owners, and a host of jockeys all set foot on Parliament Square. And I've got a few pictures of some of the activation stuff they were doing.
Didn't we suggest this a couple of weeks ago? It's good to know they've listened to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Although we
mate.
suggested racing round Parliament Square, didn't we? Down the
Yeah,
mile.
well, I saw the acting CEO of the BHA, Brandon Shea, being interviewed, and he said, "Oh, we've got a horse going round Parliament Square," and I thought, "Well, here we go." And then I've got a
Got a bet
picture
on
of
it?
said horse,
I back
and
it.
it looks like a porcelain statue that you might get on Cash in the Attic or something.
Okay, that's not really what we had in mind.
Sadly, not an actual racehorse at the place. But,
Oh, well.
you've got a host of the kind of some of the biggest jockeys in the country. They all had a little photo up, and there was this little one of those video vans that goes round. And then after their little bit of a song and dance on Parliament Square, and to be fair, there was quite a lot of press there, and I did see a piece on BBC Breakfast, which is quite unusual for horse racing. They hosted an event in the QE2 Centre, where again they kind of spoke to themselves a little bit, but there were some press there. So whether this is the right approach, whether it will be enough to make a difference, it's hard to say. But one thing you can say is it's absolutely unprecedented for horse racing to, one, get together behind something, because there are so many factions that fight for their own agenda, and two, actually make such a bold statement, particularly to government, where they're always trying to be friends with them. So we will watch this space and wait for the autumn budget to come out in November and see what happens. But yeah, big splash made by the racing industry on Wednesday.
Yeah, well, like you say, it's good for the sport to get together, isn't it? On an issue, these sorts of things often bring people together.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. All right, see how it goes then. So you think autumn statement?
Yeah.
Not spring statement. That'll be
Yeah.
when we'll know a little bit more. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, shall we?
November.
Good. All right. Thanks, El. Let's get on to York then. What happened at York? I'm just watching the video now.
Yeah,
it might look grim.
hopefully you'll be able to post the video. But yeah, I mean, it's something we spoke about briefly last week on the pod when we were talking about Ryan Moore being out for the rest of the flat season with a broken leg or a fractured leg. And then Al also mentioned when AP McCoy was looking for his 300 winner season, that he rode 2 winners the day after he'd broken his collarbone. And we said, jockeys are just different levels in terms of what they can deal with. And, they're not paid big bucks for it, but they really should be. As we mentioned, there was a real horrific incident on Sunday at York. It was a listed race in the 4:30 over 6 furlongs, and Jim Crowley was on the favourite, Shadwell, Almarat. He was prominent behind the leaders, coming to put the 2 furlong pole. Tried to kind of, I guess, move out. It looks like he's looking to make his move out. He was quite a short price favourite, not odds on, but he's looking to mount his challenge, and looks like he's clipped the heels of the horse in front. And of course, the horse has just gone down like an absolute, like, gilly in the mist, sniper shot him kind of thing. And obviously, Jim's gone down. There was a horse behind that was ridden by Trevor Whelan called Tiger Bay. That's then been brought down as a result. They've, both gone over pretty badly. The horses thankfully got up fine, but both jockeys were down. They had the screens around them and everything, and both of them were taken off to hospital and both of them had to have surgery. Jim Crowley came out with a fractured pelvis and a fractured leg, and Trevor Whelan had a complex ankle break. And it just shows that, I know we talk about the jumps and stuff and how dangerous that is, and rightfully so, because it is more dangerous than the flat, but it just goes to show that you can still have pretty bad falls on the flat, when you consider most of the time it's fairly safe. With horses going at 40 miles an hour, this kind of stuff can happen. It's quite amazing that neither jockey was killed from it. And we will post the video, because there's been doing some rounds on X. I know people have kind of had a go about the video being posted and things, but it's not so much for the clout of posting it and trying to cause a stir or anything like that, but it's more just to kind of show that this stuff is pretty serious, and it shows just what the jockeys go through every time that they go out there. They could sustain injuries like this or even worse, so it's just more for that awareness for people as well.
I agree. It's good for awareness. I think, like you say, obviously injuries weren't great, but I think just to show what these jockeys go through, and I guess because they're on the flat, it's going to be a lot faster than jumps, isn't it? So when they do come down like that, it's going to be pretty bad. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thoughts are with the jockeys,
Jim and Trevor. Hopefully they get well soon in best hands. Hopefully.
Yeah. Good. All right. Thanks, Duncan. All right. What have you got here then? The L'Arc de Triomphe. What's going on?
Indeed, we are building to that time of year where the season really kind of climaxes with the big race at the end of the year, the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. And as such, there are kind of key races that are happening at the moment, kind of the last trials, if you like, for the big race itself. There were 2 days in France this weekend and another race at Kempton on Saturday where a lot of the kind of more recognised trials happen, and they're an absolute nightmare to bet in. If I was recommending anyone to, although I still bet in most of them, so many of the trainers literally use it, including Aidan O'Brien and some of the French trainers. They use it just as a stepping stone. So what you end up seeing is some short price favourites turned over, some shocks happening, and then what has happened since the weekend is I've got a screenshot of the odds anti-post prior to the weekend, and then the same what's happened since the races. And Calpana, ahead of the weekend, was the clear 6-1 favourite, Andrew Bolden's filly, and she was odds on at Kempton to win the September Stakes and was kindly boosted by Denise in the Super Boost, and I duly got stuck in and had my cherries on and came back with nothing because she got absolutely turned
Came
over.
back gelded.
Gelded, yeah. Cherries gone.
Thankfully, I won the play spot that day, so I didn't
nice.
lose too much on that in the end, but it was a sickening watch, to be honest, as she sort of loomed up there travelling and then just found absolute zilch off the bridle. So she's now gone from the head of the betting, favourite for the Arc, out to 16-1, and there are now doubts whether she will even turn up. The second favourite, Mini Hawk, is therefore, by the fact she hasn't run, has found herself joint lead with Aventure, who's also replaced Calpana at the head of the betting. So the Prix Vermeil is a kind of key trial for the fillies and mares, and she was runner-up in the Arc last year. But the 3-year-old fillies get a massive weight allowance in that season. When they become 4-year-olds, that weight allowance is significantly reduced. So even though she was second last year, I certainly wouldn't be, and she won at the weekend, I wouldn't be going mad about that. And then there was another bit of a shock where Byzantine Dream, that wasn't exactly fancied, scrambled home in a bit of a mad finish over Sosi, who was fourth in the Arc last year. And there's a race called the Prix Foy, which is for the older male horses. So that's been put into the market at 12s, but I wouldn't back it with your money, to be honest. And then another bit of a shock as well, if I'm going to absolutely butcher this pronunciation, Qualifica. There was a 3-year-old version of that same race for the males.
And Duncan just goes, yeah, Correct. Yeah.
Our French,
I heard it. They mentioned
French
live
racing
TV earlier
expert.
on. They watched the race
Okay,
back, so I
fine.
heard how they
Fine,
said it.
fine.
So he's done
there
well
we go.
with
I
it.
should have watched that.
there you
And
go.
that race was the Prix, which is again just for the 3-year-olds, and he won a bit of a scramble finish. He's in there at 20s. Again, I think it's fair to say that we have more questions than answers after the weekend. And going into a race of this significance, we're getting pretty close now. I can't remember a market so open. Usually you have probably one of Aidan's top 3-year-olds, really clear at the market, but it just seems like it's crying out for something to take the race by storm at the minute. And anybody's guess at this stage who's going to win that race.
Yeah, interesting. And so when is that, El? Next
First
week?
weekend in October on the Sunday,
Okay, fine.
whenever
Fifth,
that
is
was.
it?
Cool.
Something like the 5th or 6th.
Right,
Sorry, the
so we'll
Saturday
do-
or the Sunday. Sorry, Al.
It's on the Sunday. So Sunday the
It's
5th.
the 5th. It is the 5th.
Cool. All right, so we'll do a deep dive on that, shall we?
Oh, big time. It's a great race. And that whole weekend, 2 days at Longchamp, so many Group 1 races. But it's
Yeah,
usually
pissing
one
with
in
rain.
shocking ground. And then
Yeah, they'll be
All the
pissing with
form goes up.
rain. Take your Wellington boots. Take everything you want. You won't need sun cream over there.
Good. All right, look forward to it. Let's get on to Steward's inquiry.
So what happens at the photo finish?
Steward's inquiry.
You got one for us, El, this week?
yeah, this is actually an incident that took place over 2 years ago on the 5th of July, 2023. And
Well,
the
why
reason
are
why
you talking about it now?
Well, that's literally the point of it being Steward's inquiry, because you'll post the video and you'll watch this horse on the outside at Worcester, good old Worcester, coming down, absolutely cruising. Dylan Kitt's on board, a horse called Hilson, and in the white and red. You wouldn't have had to watch many races to know that that jockey was doing everything in his power to stop this horse from winning. It is so blatant. It's absolutely horrendous. It's one of the worst non-triers I think I've ever seen. And I saw Kieran Fallon 10 lengths clear and managed to get beat once when looking over his shoulder. And I think what's mad is that the hearing for this has only just taken place this week. That's why it's in for Stewards, because it's one of the most blatant cases you'll ever see. And still 2 years later, they're still deliberating over it and trying to figure out the punishments for everyone involved. And it's been going on. This hearing has not even just been concluded in a day. I mean, it would take 5 minutes, surely, but it's been going on all week. It's still going on, and there's
God,
bits and
it's
pieces
like the
that
old
have come out.
COVID inquiry.
Yeah, so the horse was initially banned for 40 days, which is sort of something they could do straight away.
The
And
horse's
then-
fault, though, isn't it?
But it's trying to punish the owner. Horse was actually trying to win, for fuck's sake.
I know. It's the thing. The horse is the most honest one out of a lot of them.
So sorry, on the video, which one are we looking at? The one in...
On the
Black.
left-hand side, nearest the camera, on the
So
stand
the
side,
white cap, white cap,
Yeah.
white
White cap.
sleeves and things.
white and red
Okay,
checks.
fine.
As all
All right, we'll
quarters
play
of-
that.
Oh, Mike.
We'll play
it
that.
gets worse
We'll
the
play
more I
that
watch
now. We'll play that now.
Yeah.
Bensini the near side, Hilson still there as well. Over the last it was Champagne Gift just, but it's Bensini now who's come through to take it up as they go inside the final furlong and a half. To Hilson in second, then Champagne Gift and Eton Lady. It's Bensini though who leads. Eton Lady though continues to stay on for Isabel Ryder. Bensini, Eton Lady, then Champagne Gift and Hilson. Bensini needs the line very badly. Eton Lady staying on, but Bensini gets in, beats Eton Lady. Hilson was third.
You can see him pop the last, and hopefully with the audio you can hear the commentator mentioning him, and what he honestly is pulling him back so hard, and then eventually when he knows he can't win, he then eventually starts to ease down on the horse and let him ride a bit. The horse was banned for 40 days straight off the bat. He then moved trainers, won his next 3 starts, and then finished second twice and went up £20 on the handicap. So that shows you how fucking well in he was. He was moved from Chris Honor, who's in the disciplinary hearing at the minute, being attacked from all sides, to Alan Jones, who's obviously done quite well with the horse. And then it took until February last year, so over 6 months after this incident, for the jockey to be given an exclusion order from British Racing. And he said in his own admission that he's never going to try and come back to horse racing, which basically it means warned off. So you're not allowed to go racing,
Right.
You're not allowed to go to the stables, you're just banned from the sport essentially. And all of it started to come out of the woodwork because he actually gave verbal evidence this week and basically told of a story where the owner is a guy called Alan Clegg, but he seemed to have less to do with the horse. It was this guy called John Higgins, who is an associate of the owner, and who, funnily enough, his son-in-law is the footballer Ashley Barnes, who's obviously been a
Oh,
Premier
really?
League footballer.
Interesting.
And it sounds like they wanted to have it right off by laying the balls off this horse. He rang the trainer loads, and then apparently rang the jockey literally 45 minutes before the race. And according to the jockey, said, even if you have to break your effing neck, do not win on this horse, basically. And this is, I feel a bit sorry for the jockey, because this is a young jockey who's trying to make a name for himself, won't have had many rides. Obviously,
Done that well.
doesn't want to literally paid 100 quid. 100 quid
I mean,
cash
100
for
quid
basically
for that.
quid.
Cheers.
for ending your career. And
What a bastard.
and apparently was really aggressive. And the trainer's now been obviously brought in, and the jockey says, the trainer said to him, I don't know much, because the horse had also just moved to this new trainer. So that the owner or the associate was obviously trying to find someone dodgy enough to go along with this. And the trainer was a fairly new trainer at that stage, and apparently had been kind of hooked by the idea that there was a footballer potentially involved, and if this went well, there would be more horses on the way. So he said to the jockey, I don't know what they want to do with it today, just go with what the owners want. So that's what the jockey said in court, not court, but horse racing court. And the trainers argued that he didn't say not to ride the horse to win. He said he would never say that to a jockey. And he said that under questioning, that his instructions were to drop the horse in, hold on to him as long as possible, which is probably not the best use of words, but that was on the assumption that the jockey would be trying to win and not hold on to the line, basically. It's just a bit of a shit show. It's the most blatant case of cheating I've seen in all my years following the horse racing game. And I just find it mad that they still haven't really got to the bottom of who's really at fault here. Over 2 years later.
Well,
That's
do they know if they, like Higgins, who said he won like $5,000 for obviously laying the bollocks off of the horse? If obviously he's found guilty of that, surely he'd have to give the £5,000 back.
Well, it's whether they can prove that is the thing. They must have evidence for that figure to be quoted.
Yeah.
But he
I'd love
won
it if he
that
did.
£5,000 was actually won at Exeter when he didn't win in his previous race.
Right.
But there's no allegations as such that this happened this time, but you would have to suspect that would be the case. But also,
You'd think
if you've
so.
got a horse that's £20 in, why don't you just have your nuts on it to win? Because
Well, that's what I mean. Exactly. What kind of
Yeah.
price was the horse for this
I
race?
don't understand that at all.
I'd love to know what that horse's
I
prices
went back
were.
on it. I don't know what it would have been in the morning because it's obviously too long to check. But it opened up at sevens on course, so might have been
This is
short in the
Worcester.
morning.
Is this the Worcester race or
This is the
the
Worcester
one
race.
at one?
Then drifted
Right.
out to 11s on the off. So obviously, if they're laying the backside off it, it would
Yeah.
have drifted. But other punters, genuinely unknown to this, would have been backing it. So it would have been two market forces going against each other. But I dare say that drift tells you that, they were trying to lay it, and it just stinks, really.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
It's called Hilson, is that right?
Hilson, yeah.
Hilson.
Just going to have a look and see the race it did win, what price it went off at.
The thing is, you
Yeah.
have to worry about the trainer because I've done well off it, that trainer, mainly
Yeah.
because he likes a fiddle and he lays a horse out. But
Clearly
you're
does
allowed
like
to
a
do
fiddle.
that because you're trying to win eventually. But he could have his license removed or rescinded,
Yeah.
so could be curtains for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the day he won at Exeter, he was 12-1 SP.
Yeah.
When he won again then at Newton Abbot the following time, on 29th of May, he was 9-2. And then when he won at Worcester, when he went back to Worcester to win, on the 19th of June, he was 6-1.
Suppose
So
he wasn't
you
getting throwing things at him after
Yeah.
being at Worcester the time before.
But he's now trained
Crazy.
by someone I've never heard of called Richard Hawker.
Yeah. He used to be a point-to-point trainer.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't sound like one of the obvious ones. But that is mental, though, isn't it?
But
Could
anyway,
have had your absolute
mental.
stones on them, or cherries all day for those
Steward
races.
for the stewards.
You'd rather lay your horse not to win.
I know. I just don't get it. I didn't get it.
Baffled. Absolutely baffled. Chippy idiots.
All right. Thanks for that, El. I think that's quite an interesting one, actually. I'll take it back. It wasn't stupid bringing that up just because it was very old.
It's a good story.
Yeah, you let us know how that goes next week. Right. Let's get on to Doncaster then, shall we? So this is the final classic. And we obviously did when was it now? It was a couple of months ago we did sort of
Yeah,
what the
before the
classics-
Guineas we did, so
For the Guineas,
probably end of
yeah.
April time. You could find that
Yeah.
one.
So go and watch that one. Yeah, Doncaster. The Sun Leisure or Liga?
The Sun Leisure, yeah. So I wanted to, I tried desperately to get ChatGPT to do a nice little timeline with the classics and then highlighting the Sun Leisure. But my God, it put the Cheltenham Gold Cup in there. So this AI
the
isn't
old
all
stick
that it
flat
cracked
trial.
up to be honest.
Just gives you any old shit.
The final
yeah.
classic, the old Gold Cup.
I was like, not classic races as in just the big races, fucking for the classic generation. So the best he could come up with is this little table. You know, Connor does the job, which basically shows what we've talked about with the 3-year-olds. They have kind of most of the key races earlier in the season with the Guineas and then the Derby and Oaks in May and June. And then the season culminates for the 3-year-olds with the St. Leger. Now, this is over the furthest distance. And the Triple Crown, which is the original Triple Crown, you can fuck the Americans with their version, is meant to be for a horse to win either of the Guineas, either of the Derby and Oaks, obviously depending on their sex, and then all the sexes piled together for the St. Leger, which is over the furthest distance of 1 mile and 6 furlongs.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, the horse, as it develops through its 3-year-old season, should be able to get further and further. I mean, it's an absolute mad feat that almost isn't even attempted anymore, because to have the speed to win over 1 mile and the stamina to win over 1 mile 6. But that's the sort of thing when these races were created. This is the oldest classic as well. This predates the Derby, predates the Guineas, and it was first run in 1776, because I think I've mentioned on the pod before, the prestigious races back in, several hundred years ago were over the longer trips, because that stamina was seen as more of a prestigious thing than just a bit of speed. Unfortunately, because that has completely gone out of the game in terms of the allure of it, breeding is much more on the speeds. Races like the St. Leger have, unfortunately, used to get like 20 runners, a bit like what the Derby used to be. Unfortunately, now we're struggling to even get an each way 3 places raced, but it's still worth talking about. It's still an important race, and the last time that the 3-year-olds can win a Group 1 against their own age group is the curtain down on the classic generation for another season.
Yeah, lovely.
I mean, going back to what we were talking about last week in terms of like horse like fees and stuff for like stud and that. If you had a horse that won the 2000 Guineas, the Derby, and then the St. Leger, you literally just put your own price on it for going.
Well, do you remember a
stud.
few years ago?
A cover.
Yeah. No problem, Pete.
In 2012, if I've got this year right, a horse called Callout, which is a sire at the minute. You'll have seen him if you watched last week's breakdown of Coolmore's top sires. He won the Guineas and the Derby, and then was favourite for the Leger. And fair play for them for even going for it, because a lot of ownerships.
Okay, second. Did he come second?
He won all bar a Godolphin-owned horse trained by the ill-forsaken Mohammed El Zarouni, who the very next spring was completely thrown out of the game for basically doping the fuck out of his horses. And his horse, NK, ridden by Frankie the Tory, got up close home and beat him when clearly he was fucking drugged up to his eyeballs on God knows what. And you just think the sport, not just the owners, have been robbed of a historic Triple Crown winner because someone cheated, but obviously they never tested him on the day, so they can't go back and prove it. So it nearly happened in our generation.
The horse racing is really taking a bit of a shit show from us today, isn't it? We've got the Stewards Inquiry and the Hilton hearing, and then we've just got hearing about Callout getting screwed over by a doped-up horse.
We need to hold up the mirror to the sport, and they need to look into the mirror and have a good look at themselves.
Do you want, before we move on, do you want a little fun factoid?
Always.
I was surprised you didn't ask me, actually, because it is a bit of a weird name, the race, St. Leger. When the Derby kind of makes sense, and the Guineas was how much it used to be worth, kind of makes sense. But it was actually founded by Colonel Barry St. Leger in 1776, the race. So they just named it after him, and it's been the same ever since.
Cheers, Colonel.
He's loving life, isn't he?
He's loving this.
It's great every year, like, yeah, boy.
It's my race again, boys. All right, so it starts Friday, tomorrow, at the time of the pod.
Starts today, mate.
So
it started today.
Starts today, does it? Good.
Thursday.
I'm glad it didn't.
Already won
Thursday.
I was done very well. Been very successful.
Actually cleaned up
do
today.
nicely.
Hopefully the tips continue to do so well.
Yes, please.
Lovely. All right, let's get on to the first one then. So we've got 225 Carlsberg Danish Pilsner Flying Charders Stakes. That's a mouthful. Easy for you to say.
What she said.
Go on, Dunk. I'll let you go first.
I'll leave the main selection to El because he wrote his bit up beforehand. I'll add on to it again. Another one I'm kind of willing to take a chance on is Lady Iman. So this horse ran at Goodwood at the festival there and hosed in over 5 furlongs. Pretty much hands and heels ride and it was subsequently thrown in at the top of the market for the Nunthorpe, I think a couple of days before the actual race itself. As we got closer to the race, it started to drift a little bit because it was the first time one of the younger horses was up against the older generation. And yeah, I mean, the horse completely bombed out. I think finished tailed off pretty much out the back. But because the horse is now going back into her own kind of company, and kind of from an age perspective, and back over 5 furlongs, she'll get the fillies allowance in this as well. I'm happy to kind of give her another shot at 4-1. It would be my main selection, but I think that Lady Iman, should have a fairly decent chance back in her own age group. So Lady Iman could be a sneak. Well, I say sneak. Could be one at 4-1.
Sneaky 4-1.
Sneaky.
Desperate times if that's a sneaky one, mate.
Yeah. I was going to say that's as good as it gets for my sneaky ones.
I can hear the comments coming in now.
Yeah.
Typical.
Yeah.
What are you thinking then, El?
Yeah, this is a Group 2 for the 2-year-olds, so I thought this was a bit of a disappointing race. A lot of these horses have got overlapping form where they've all kind of finished in front or behind each other at different times throughout the season. And as a result, I just thought I'd rather take something that's got a different line of form and is progressive and could therefore improve past the rest of them, who are, as I say, kind of a much of a muchness, given that they've raced within a few lengths of each other a lot throughout the season. And I've gone with Mission Central, currently 3-1 for Aidan O'Brien, which on paper doesn't look that inspiring because it is top of the market and it's Aidan O'Brien. But looking back through this horse's form, they clearly didn't think much of him earlier in the season because he ran in a maiden at Dundalk in April and then was duly de-cherried shortly after that when he was well beaten at even money. And so they obviously didn't think he was one of their leading lights for the season. But having had the cherries removed and a bit of a break over the summer, he then won his maiden next time out by 8 lengths, then went into a Group 3 over 6 furlongs and won pretty cosily. And actually, it was only towards the line where he seemed to get tired. And he's very speedily bred. So going back to this 5 furlongs, I think is a great idea. And it's not a race that Aidan particularly targets or wins with his 2-year-olds, but this one just seems to be bred slightly differently. And our good friend Soumillon is getting the leg up, trying to make a good impression with his newfound relationship with Aidan O'Brien. I just think I'd rather, the other thing that it was a different line of form, progressive, well bred for it, but also much more lightly raced. A lot of these horses, 2-year-olds as well, they've started so early in the season. I know this one started in April, but it's had a massive break and has only had 2 runs since. And I think that's going to help him, whereas a lot of these have been banging heads for quite a lot of time throughout the season. And once you get to September, you never know when that one run is just going to be too many and horses' form starts to tail off. So I like Mission Central.
All right. Good. Thanks, El. And then we've got another one for Friday. So we've got the 3 o'clock. So we've got the Howard Wright Doncaster Cup Stakes, Group 2. I'll start with you, El, on this one. I think you're both summarising the same one, aren't you?
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit laborious tipping all these favourites, but look, if they win, they win. That's the main thing. And I do.
Yeah, but we don't always back the favourites, despite what people think or say. And if you do think and say that,
that guy's
really one shot and it comes fucking nowhere, or you could back a favourite that might win if it's got the chance.
He's got my head rent free.
Yeah,
for sure.
Wanker.
But
wanker.
I literally have written it. I tried to look for something to take on the favourite, and that is what I think Duncan and I both do most times we tip. However, you look through this, yes, it is a Group 2 and a lot of the same horses. This is over the 2 mile. Well, it's actually over further than 2 miles, just short of 2 mile 2. So it's a bit further than some of the other cup races, apart from obviously the Gold Cup at Ascot. And a lot of these horses run in the same races throughout the season because there's quite a clear calendar for what they call the cup horses, because that's what most of these long distance races are named, something cup. I just think this renewal is actually, it is Group 2. Obviously, it's not Group 1, but I think it's even potentially more substandard than that. And I just took a look through the rest of the field and I just thought there's some old boats in here. And this is probably one of the youngest ones, despite it being 6. But he won this race last year pretty comfortably and then probably didn't perform brilliantly at Goodwood, but then gave Trawlerman, who was obviously quite a fancied horse at York, in the Lonsdale Cup, which is their version of this kind of renewal. He gave him a right fright in that race, and if it continues to be dodgy weather, which it has been around the country, he'll have no problem with the cut in the ground. When I wrote this, he was 11-8. I don't think that's a generous price. Could be one for a super boost, though. Fingers crossed. But I just think he's the most likely winner.
You agree, Duncan?
Yeah, 100%. I think what everything else said's right. Like, you just try and look for something else. And you look at the races that he's had against far better horses. And like I said, when he ran last time out, you're just looking at the calibre of horses. Trawlerman, horses all the way the last couple of years who are the long distance like specialists. He doesn't have any of them in this. I tried to look at Mullins' horse, who obviously ran in the race the other week. I can't think of the name of another Ebor, which finished like a very disappointing sixth, having been one of the ones that we tipped up on the pod. But I just don't really see how this horse can get the better of Trawlerman, even better than Sweet William, even with an extra 2 furlongs, which might help. But I don't see it personally, and I'd rather, if you gave me the choice of the two, I'd rather back Sweet William.
I might back Sweet William because that's the same name as my dog, and he's obviously
not
very
sweet,
sweet.
though.
Dog.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't got any nuts anymore. He's cherryless actually as well.
He's cherryless. Yeah, fitting.
He's a gelding.
If it's called shit,
William,
loud,
then
and
you back him.
bitey William, then I definitely back him.
Barky
All
McBark
right.
is-
Apologies for those that he's bitten. Let's get on to Saturday then. So we'll do the 3:30 Betfred and Ledger Stakes. Duncan, should we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, I can see this being an Aidan O'Brien 1, 2, 3. I've actually gone Scandinavia's at the top of the market, quite a short price, about 13 to 8. Time of recording. Lambourne was 11 to 4. I'm siding with Lambourne. I just think that he his record was fantastic up until he went to the Voltigeur last time out. And he finished 5th that day. I think he was odds-on favourite for that race as well. But I think Elle and I both stayed clear of him that day simply because in the pre-race interviews leading up to the race, Aidan O'Brien, the trainer, had always said that Lambourne's target was the St. Leger, not the race that he was going for, not this race that he was going for, the Voltigeur. So it was very much, the horse is never going to be fully wound up for this then, so we're not going to, what's the point in trying to back him? And duly noted, he didn't win the race, finished 5th. Aidan O'Brien came out afterwards and said that, the race was never run to suit him. There was no pace on and it turned into a bit of a sprint towards the end. So I'm quite happy to put a line through that. And looking back, obviously, this horse won the Derby earlier on in the year, absolute top quality horse. I just think that with the 3 horses that Aidan has in here, I think it would probably be between obviously the top 2 in the market. I think Stay True, which is his other one, which is almost like the 3rd string, I reckon will be a pacemaker. And we've seen the horse be a pacemaker before because when the horse ran in the Lingfield trial earlier on in the year, and again, we brought that up, I think, in one of the pods as well for the Steward's Inquiry, the fact that Stay True should have won that race, and he actually should have been Puppet Master, who was the favourite and odds-on favourite that day, and it almost seemed like he was kind of given a lenient ride towards the end to let Puppet Master get up and win. I just think Stay True will probably be a pacemaker, put on a decent gallop for Lambourne to go at, and obviously Scandinavia as well, who will like a strong pace. But I would tend to side more with Lambourne at the prices to go on and win. There's not really an each way bet in this because there's only 2 places, unfortunately. There's only 7 runners now. It says 8 on here, but I'm pretty sure it's down to 7 now, which is really annoying. I think the only one that might potentially cause an upset in it is Karma's, which is currently priced at 9 to 2, is the main danger for me. The horse won at Royal Ascot earlier on this season, so I could see that potentially going close and causing an upset, but I could still imagine a fantastic 1, 2, 3 for Aidan O'Brien.
All right. There's a few there. Thanks, Duncan. Elle, what are you thinking?
Yeah, some similarities in that I do think Aidan O'Brien will win this race. He is the man to follow in this race, has been for quite a long time. But I've gone with his other market leader, which does mean that's 3 favourites in a row for me. But I was so taken with the Scandinavia. I have been a big Lambourne fan, and I'm definitely worried about what Duncan's saying there, that thankfully managed to avoid him last time out when he was super boosted and bombed in the Great Voltigeur. But, he could improve obviously from that if Aidan's trained him specifically for this race. But sometimes horses just leave an impression on you. And I took on this Scandinavia when he ran at the July meeting at Newmarket in the Bahrain Trophy, just simply because I didn't think he would stay that far. And he absolutely blitzed him from the front that day. And then I was also so certain that another one of Aidan O'Brien's, Illinois, was the absolute nap for the Goodwood Cup. Was convinced he was going to win. But Scandinavia, again, just ran it from the front. And he did get a stone in weight from his older counterparts that day, which is a big allowance for the 3-year-olds. But even in receipt of all that weight, to beat those tried and tested stayers in a race like that, I was so impressed. And I thought he's already won a Group 1 for older horses. And now he's back to his own age group. I think the way the race is going to be run, him trying to basically just dominate from the front means it's all up to him to win it. And the kind of icing on the cake was that Tom Marquand has been booked. Old Soumillon must be needed back in France on Saturday. Where there's no better man for me than Tom Marquand in the saddle. So
I think he's at the Irish Festival, isn't he? He's at the Irish Champions Festival.
Oh, of course he is. Yeah, we'll come on to that in a bit. But yeah, I'd rather have Tom Marquand than Christian Soumillon. A big statement, but
Agreed.
Yeah, he's mustard. So I know he's skinny at 11-8, but Scandinavia, I just think, takes this race.
All right, awesome. Let's get on to the Irish Champions Festival then. So this is the big one.
Also, AI's done this wrong again because it was called Irish Champions Weekend, but it's actually now been rebranded this year as Irish Champions Festival, which seems like splitting hairs to me. But it's kind of similar to what they did with the Dublin Racing Festival a few seasons ago over the jumps, and it was created in 2014, where basically all of these races existed across various weekends, and they've decided to just bring them all together and have a 2-day absolute mad affair of it. Unlike the DRF, it's actually split over 2 courses. So we've got Leopardstown on the first day, and the feature race being the Irish Champion Stakes, and then a whole host of Group 1s on the second day at the Curragh. So it's a pretty good initiative. British Champions Day started in 2011, so I dare say they got inspiration from that. It's caused a bit of an uproar in recent years because it clashes with the St. Leger. But as Duncan said last week, some jockeys can do both if they've got a chartered copter ready to take them from one to the other. Yeah, I just think it's a good initiative, and it just means that you get all the good races across 2 days. And they've even got 9 races on the first day on Saturday at Leopardstown, which is a bit mental. But should be a good weekend. Over €5 million in prize money to be.
Yeah, I was looking at that. It's a big old prize pot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be scorned at, is it?
Right. Yeah. All right, worth turning up. Go on then. Let's do the 425. Go on then. I'll start with you, Al.
We'll get rid of the sponsorship names on these because I never call them by what the sponsorship name is. This is the Matron Stakes.
Yeah, back in my day, it wasn't called this. It was called something else.
I'm not quite doing a Dave. I'm just trying to make it easier for you. You butcher all the pronunciations as it is.
Coolmore America Justified Matron Stakes. That's fine.
That one's a bit easier for you. The old gimcrack.
Gimcrack.
This is a group 1 for the fillies and mares over a mile. So it brings together classic generation, the likes of the 1,000 Guineas winners, into the older mares group. I think this is between the top 2 in the market. We've got Cole Burke's horse and Fallen Angel and Aidan O'Brien's in January. I just prefer January. Now, on strict figures, last time out, Fallen Angel got the better of January in France. January was in receipt of £7 that day because she's a 3-year-old filly. She only gets £5 this time and got beaten ahead. So on that basis, you would think Fallen Angel should confirm the form. But she travelled so much better than the winner that day, and unfortunately just won the race, then lost it on the dying strides. And old Sumi is back on, and now he's had that run with her. I feel like he'll just know her a little bit better and just hold on to her. And at the prices, I just thought 5-2 was a little bit more tempting, and I'll go with January as my main selection.
All right. Thanks, thanks, El. Let's do you then, Duncan. So yeah, you've gone with a different one, haven't you? So what are you thinking?
I was very much in El's camp for ages with January. I literally wrote down January, deleted, wrote down January again, deleted, and then was desperately trying to find something else ahead of the top 2 in the market. And I think what swung it for me is exactly what El's just said: the fact that the horse is not in receipt of the amount of weight that it was last time out. Which was kind of slightly off-putting for me. And I've actually gone for Cesene, which is the 3rd runner in the market at the moment, 5-1. The horse hasn't run against her elders yet in her career. But she's run against some extremely decent horses though last couple of times out. Most notably, last time out at Goodwood, she ran against Whirl and See the Fire. So Whirl, obviously, as we know, is a very, very classy horse for Aidan O'Brien, rated 122. And then See the Fire is also rated 119 for Andrew Balding. She split the pair of them last time out in the 10 furlong Nassau Stakes in ground that could only be described as an absolute bog. She previously won the Coronation Stakes at Royal Ascot at a causing a massive upset actually at 33-1. That is the last time she was out was over 10 furlongs. She's now stepping back down to 8 furlongs, which I think is correct. I think out of the 3 in the market, so I was trying to look at the ground conditions on the day, and it looks like it's going to be soft ground. And neither of the top 2 have run on anything better than good to soft. I know Cesena has obviously run last time out on heavy ground and finished 5 lengths off Whirl, but obviously Whirl I think is a bit of a freak of a horse. You know, Cesena finished a length and a half clear of the 3rd place there. So I'd say that she can still handle the ground, being soft. So I would chance that because there's 3 places, at least 3 places, at 5-1 could be an each way shot to nothing. So I would go with Cesena as an each way option.
All right, good. Thanks, Duncan. Right, so we've got a good real
I've got a mad
range,
one
haven't
for
we?
that
So-
race as well.
Oh, go on then. We love a mad one.
He
Go
loves
on.
a mad one.
This
He
is, I
loves
mean,
a
this
mad
is,
one.
this is mad.
Did
on-
any of the
on
mad
form.
ones work out last week or not?
Probably not.
Christ, I can barely remember
Probably not.
yesterday, mate. I'm sure I'd have posted them if they did.
Yeah, fair.
Just because, as Duncan mentioned, the ground is soft at the minute, and if it continues, it's Ireland for God's sake. If it continues to pour down, which it probably will, and it's absolute bog river, then I would not discount Sparks Fly at 33-1 for David Loughnane. She's quite an improving mare. She's obviously 5-year-old now, so it's been around a bit. But at the end of last season, she just absolutely revelled in the bottomless ground, and is a 4-time listed winner on soft or heavy going. Because there's enough for 3 places, and at 33-1, if it's a real slop fest, I can just see her plugging along and hopefully nicking a place for a bit of each way money. And if it was real bad, she might be good enough to win. I wouldn't discount her. Sparks Fly at a mad price.
All right. We'll have a look.
Just having a quick look at what the weather's going to look like. So
Weather
Weather
Watch
Watch is here. Tomorrow actually looks dryish, probably until the afternoon, and then Saturday looks like it's going to be again dryish until the afternoon. It looks like they might get some rain. So I don't know how much wet weather they're going to get now between now and then. But
There
we
he
will
is.
see. You never know. Love checking. Honestly, I've started checking Weather Watch too many times now. I'm becoming a part of Anorak Corner. It's not good.
It's good though, you know. It's all part of the game, isn't it? So you gotta keep an eye on it.
Like
Gotta
Tony
look ahead,
Calvin
but-
over there.
I know exactly. I actually weirdly I checked his blog earlier on for all the weather stuff just to see what was coming in. So I was like, right,
Yeah,
I'm
love
going to
it.
properly get on this. So thank you, TC.
Up the TC. Right. All right. Let's get on to the big one then. At 5:30. So this is the Royal Bahrain Irish Champion Stakes, the Group 1. Who wants to go first? Because you both got different ones. Dunk, we'll start with you.
Okay. Yeah, I actually have gone for a favourite, unfortunately, in this. I find it very, very hard to look past Delacroix, which is another classic Aidan
Another
O'Brien.
favourite. Come on.
I know. I don't like to do it. I did look at El's selection a bit as well, but I've come on the side of Delacroix. I mean, Aidan O'Brien has won this race 12 times. I mean, need say any more really? Like he clearly knows what he's doing with this. Delacroix will have a pacemaker in this if he needs one. In the fact that he's got Mount Kilimanjaro in there, which is 150-1. So you never know. Could be finding a rogue upset again, like we've seen already this year. But I expect Mount Kilimanjaro potentially look to try and set it up for Delacroix. I mean, Delacroix himself, you got up on the line to be ombudsman in the Coral Eclipse at Sandown. I was there to watch that, having backed ombudsman. They then ran both again together in the Jobmont International. And although the horse was soundly beaten by ombudsman that day, the horse doesn't reoppose this time. There was a bit of a thing in the paper or in the news, I think it was last week, from John Gosden, kind of pulling a bit of a shot at Aidan O'Brien about pacemakers and things like that. But yeah, ombudsman isn't reopposing him in this race, so I think it's his to lose, really. So my money would be with Delacroix to bring home the bacon for Aidan O'Brien.
All right. Let's see how that turns out. And Al, you've gone with something slightly different?
Yeah, I'm gutted Duncan has left the club by the sounds of it. But I'm giving our old boy one more chance. And then I've definitely given up on him if he doesn't get the job done this time. But I'm going to go with Anmart again, who we were all over for the St James's Palace Stakes at Royal Ascot. And my God, he came there swinging. And Jim Crowley, which I won't say too much bad about given what he's going through.
Steady.
Didn't give him the most optimum ride, I should say, and ran down 2 lengths behind Ombudsman. But I just think if I go back to his win in the Champion Stakes last year at Ascot, that was on bad ground, and I just think he travelled so sweet against Ombudsman last time and was only beaten 2 lengths, and Ombudsman's obviously gone on and won the Judmont, and Delacroix was 3.5 lengths behind him in that race, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just think Anmart gave him a much closer race than Delacroix managed to last time, and I think he's been saved for this and he's a little bit fresher, whereas Delacroix started off quite early in the season trying to prepare for the Derby, which didn't go to plan. And I'm just hoping that might just swing it in his favour, because outside of those two, even though there's 8 runners and you think surely you can find one each way, it's pretty light on quality, if I'm honest.
Slim pickings.
I think Anmar, he's a 7-year-old now. Chris Hayes obviously wouldn't have ridden him before, with Jim unfortunately injured, as we mentioned earlier. But the difference in price, I think, is too significant. There's only £3 between them on ratings, that is. See, Delacroix gets the 3-year-old allowance, but I think 4-1 is just too good to turn down, and we'll have one last go on our good old friend Admark. And if the ground is softy, we'll love it. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Well,
I was kept looking for
yeah.
Rogies in that race, and I was back beforehand, hot as hell. And I think we both backed before. And again, we'll love some chop in the ground as well. But if it doesn't come up,
chop suey.
Yeah, chop suey. If it doesn't come up chop suey, then I don't see the horse doing particularly well, unfortunately. But yeah, 33-1, it's kind of potential, but it would be a shot for a place, if anything.
Yeah. All right. Nice little outsider. And then for Sunday, we'll do some posts on the old socials, shall we? See how it goes tomorrow and Saturday first.
Yeah, I was going to say, see how
we've got any energy left.
Yeah, back stronger.
We might have all been out of steam by then. Good. All right. Thanks, boys. Good pods. Thanks for the news, Anorak Corner, a bit of weather in there, and the old tips for the preview this weekend. So cheers, boys. Thanks, everyone, for listening, watching, tuning in, however you're getting these podcasts. If you like it, please share with your friends and family. And make sure you subscribe as well. Make sure you don't miss an episode. You can catch us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. And then we've also obviously got the socials, Instagram, TikTok, and X. So till next time, have fun out there, race hard, race smart, and try not to be tailed off. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.
Position. Annie Power at the last race down. Annie Power has gone but in front of the last length. Melody Light
By the far side, they're running up towards the finish, and he's mistaken the winning post. He's mistaken the winning post completely, Roger Lockwood, and Hoyt Roy.
For Archibald.